Hi everyone, and welcome back to Stamp with Anna, and today I'm going to show you another way to use your new Stamparatus other than as a tool, a stamp positioning tool, which is its main purpose. And Monday, I showed you how I was able to line these thank yous up, perfectly space them both on the sides as well as space them in between each stamp. And I did that by just simply moving the panel of the Stamparatus, never removing my stamp from the plate. So that's a great way to use the Stamparatus, and I encourage you to go back to my video that I just posted this past Monday, 2 days ago, to show you how I did that. Today I'm going to show you how you can use the Stamparatus to emboss. Now when we emboss, the best way to emboss is to use a pigment ink, which is Versamark, is a great clear pigment ink, and then you sprinkle your colored powders over it. Stampin' Up! Only has white, gold, silver, and copper. And that's great, but sometimes you want to emboss with the colors of the Stampin' Up! Stamp pads. And there is a way to do that, but you have to move really, really fast. Because the Stampin' Up! Ink is a water-based ink, and it doesn't have the tack that the Versamark has, you have to stamp and real quick throw your embossing powder on it and real quick heat that up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. I've had projects that, I started out thinking, oh, this is going to be great, and then by the time I got to my embossing, the embossing wasn't a real good raised image. Now, I don't know if you can see this. This is a beautifully embossed image, and this is what a regular embossed image would look like if you just used Versamark in a colored ink. So let me show you how I did that. The first thing I did, I'm going to remove one of my plates on my Stamparatus, because it does come with 2 plates. You can go up and down or sideways. I am going to use the sideways one. And because I am using red rubber stamps, I do not need this black mat. I'm going to stamp right on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to position my paper where I want it. And this is where I want to stamp my motorcycle. So with the magnet, I'm just going to leave that right there. Now I'm going to do this twice because I also want to emboss another part of the stamp set with a different color. So I'm going to, as they say, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'll just turn this paper over because it has a mark on it. Okay, now you could just throw this right up in the corner, but I'm going to leave it right here. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm using the One Wild Ride stamp set, I'm going to use the motorcycle and this Life's a Journey, Enjoy the Ride. I'm going to position my stamp where I want it, and in this case I want it right up in that corner. And then I'm going to position this one here, and it doesn't really matter because I'm going to cut something out of that. So now that I have my stamps positioned where I want them to be positioned, I'm going to close my Stamparatus, and there are my stamps. They're all set. Now here's where the fun comes. I can stamp this up in my archival black ink, and I'm in no hurry whatsoever to get my embossing powder on it. None whatsoever. So I'm going to stamp that up nice with black, and then this badge here I want to stamp with pumpkin pie. And again, like I said, this stamp here I just want, I'm going to cut something out of it. I don't need the whole thing. So I'm going to come in and press. Really good. And again, I'm in no hurry whatsoever. So if I lift this plate and find that I didn't get a good image, it's not lost. I can just re-stamp. So there we go. Now what I'm going to do, I have a wet chamois, and I have the Lawn Fawn one. I'm going to just clean my stamp. Let me just bring this back into focus here. I'm going to clean my stamp. And now I'm going to ink the stamps up with my Versamark. And give it a nice good coating of Versamark. Like I said, both of them. And now I'm going to stamp right on that color. And now my Versamark has gone over my color so that when I go emboss, the color underneath is going to come up. And there we go. So I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper. Excuse me. And I'm going to bring over my two stamped images. And I'm going to sprinkle them with clear embossing powder. And again, I'm in no hurry whatsoever because my Versamark is good. My color is nice and protected with my Versamark. Okay, I'm going to drop this back in here. And now I'm going to heat emboss, and you're going to see that this comes out absolutely beautifully. Like I said, you can do it just using the ink straight out off the pad, but you have to work really, really quick. And sometimes the embossing, when you do it that way, the embossing has a flat appearance. It doesn't raise up nicely as it does when you use Versamark ink. And see, this is just coming together so beautifully. Make sure I didn't miss any pieces, any spots. And I'm going to do my orange. And for this one, I just want the journey to be embossed, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. Okay, and there we go. We have beautifully embossed images. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one and I'm going to mount it on a piece of very vanilla, a piece of pumpkin pie. And I have a very small border. This very vanilla that I stamped on is 3 3/4 by 5. The pumpkin pie is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. Then I'm going to come in with some baker's twine, and this baker's twine was in, what was it? I don't even remember if it was this year's holiday catalog or the year before, but I have it, so I use it. I actually think it's 2 years old. I'm just going to wrap this around a few times. Come in with my scissors, my ribbon scissors. And I'm going to tie this right here. Lots of little layers. I'm going to make sure I get them all. And there's that. I'll just come back and trim those. So now what I'm going to do is on a piece of scrap Fairy Vanilla, I'm going to mount my stamp and just stamp this as I normally would with some black. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I want to make this medallion here. And from a piece of pumpkin pie, using the badge stamp, the badge punch, I'm going to punch that out. Now, if I punch this out with that punch as well, they're going to be the same size, and I want to have a little border. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with a pair of my paper, my snips, and I'm just going to cut along that outside black line. That way it's going to make it just a tiny bit smaller than my badge punch. And I'll get that border that I want. Doesn't take too long, and it's an easy enough image to fussy cut out. I'm not a big fussy cutter. So what I'm going to do now is attach that to my orange badge. And with some strips from the edges of my dimensionals, you know how I'm always telling you, don't throw these away. I'm going to cut a couple of these and put them on the bottom. And a couple, put them on the top. And then I'm going to put that right here. And I have the dimensionals on top and bottom of those there, so that the twine is running in between it. Now, remember this that I embossed? What I'm going to do is just cut the journey out. Excuse me. Clean that one up a little bit. Okay, and then with two mini dimensionals that I have here on my desk somewhere, I am going to pop that up. I apologize for my phone. My daughter's texting me. Okay, and then I'm going to mount this onto another piece of Very Vanilla, which is cut 4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to mount that whole piece onto my card base, which is basic black. Lots of layers on this. And I'm going to just trim this a little bit. And tighten this up a bit. And I thought that I had, this little corner looked a little empty. So I had some black rhinestone jewels, which are also were also in the holiday catalog. But I bought them, so I'm going to use them. And there they are. And there's my card. Now, like I said, this is a great way to be able to emboss in all the different colors. Stampin' Up! Has 3 color families. The Brights, the Regals, and the Subtles. Each one of those has 10 colors, so there's 30. Stampin' Up! Also has the Neutrals that have 8 colors in it. So you have another 8, so now you have 38. Stampin' Up! Has 2 in-color sets, always going at the same time. So there's another 10. So you have now 48 new colors that you can emboss with without requiring embossing powder in any of those colors. You can simply use your Stamparatus to reposition your stamp, stamping it once in the color that you want and stamping it again with your Versamark embossing Versamark stamp pad, so that you can then sprinkle clear embossing powder and the color on the bottom will come up. So using your Stamparatus to emboss is like being able to emboss in 48 colors, and I think that is just fabulous. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you've enjoyed seeing a new way to use your Stamparatus tool and seeing that you can use it as an embossing tool and not only a stamp positioning tool. If you have any questions at all, certainly contact me. And if you were lucky enough to get your reservation in for the first window of the Stamparatus reservation, you should have yours by now. And I hope you are enjoying it if you do have it. And if you got your reservation in the second round, you should be keeping an eye out on your email, because I believe emails are going out towards the end of this month, the beginning of April, for delivery dates. And if you were unfortunate and couldn't get your reservation in, fear not. This is going to be in the new annual catalog that goes live June 1st. Thanks so much, and come on back on Friday when I'll show you another way to use the Stamparatus. Bye-bye.